It'll be a one-man team and shit.
All right.
I feel like Rick Ross ate him up, in my opinion,
Rick Ross is a better lyricist.
and he writes his shit.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie, that Drake diss was pretty good though. But after, I feel like the diss against Meek Mill was better.
Anybody can beat Meek at this point,
Hell, even Diddy beat him, if you know what I mean.
right? Right? He didn't beat him from the back.
No Diddy. People over here saying, "Oh, Drake gonna kill Kendrick." I'm like, that's funny.
Yeah.
Y'all Drake fans funny.
Yeah.
Got a fresh cut last night. All right, about to start this shit. I'm ready to start whenever you are.
All right.
What's up, you two? How's everyone doing? It's your boy Reg in the building. Got my homeboy Try in the building with me. How you doing, Try?
Well, so,
And the album that we are going to talk about today is Queen with their 1980 album, The Game. This album came out June 30th, 1980 on EMI Records, which is under Elektra. Queen consists of members Freddie Mercury, Brian May, John Deacon, and Roger Taylor. It consists of singles Crazy Little Thing Called Love, Save Me, Play the Game, Another One Bites the Dust, and Need Your Lovin' Tonight. And this time the producers were Queen and Reinhold Mack and everything like that too. So got some new producers this time and shit. So give me 1 second on my computer. Oh, come on now. Every time I do a review, this thing wants to be. Give me 1 second. Okay. My Wi-Fi was acting up.
So good.
All right, so last week we talked about the jazz album from them, and so after the release of that album, they came out with their first live album called Live Killers. You know what I'm saying? I've not heard that live album to be real with you. I don't think I heard that in full. And around this time too, this is when still disco was still popular and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And so, of course, Freddie Mercury and John Deacon were very influenced by the sound. And this was actually the first Queen album to use the synthesizer, which they used the Oberheim OBX. You know what I'm saying? Very, very dope synthesizer that's been used on a lot of records in the 80s and shit like that too. You know what I'm saying? So fast forward to 1980, that's when they came out with this album right here. Um, Very cool album cover. I love the black and white look. All of them rocking leather and shit like that too. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you got the pictures of them right here. Got the lyrics in the back, of course, because that's how we always do. All right. So this album has 11 tracks. Give me 1 second. All right, we're gonna get started with the first track. We're gonna call this one "Play the Game." Um, this is a nice way to start off the album. You know what I'm saying? Already you can hear like the introduction to synthesizer that they were using on this one right here, and everything like that too, which I felt like that was pretty cool. Yeah, man, definitely a dope track. Freddie Mercury wrote this one. Nice way to kick off the album.
This is good. I like the beat. The guitar play on here. Good way to start the album.
Yes, I agree. All right, now we're gonna get into the second track, which is called "Dragon Attack." One of my favorite songs that Brian May wrote for the group, in my opinion. This one definitely is a nice little funky, bass-driven kind of track and deal and shit like that too. Very, very, very funky. I love the instrumentation on this one right here. Originally, this song came from like a jam session, which you can kind of tell, and everything like that too. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, it's definitely one of those songs that kind of that is definitely did for Queen, them trying out a new sound. So I fuck with it.
No, but this is one of my favorites. I love the beat, the bass line for it. The beat, was more up tempo.
Right. Yeah, this is definitely like a more up tempo song when it comes to like the group's canon and everything like that too. So I'll fuck with it. All right, track number 3, Another One Bites the Dust. I mean, do I even have to let you guys talk about this song? I mean, this is definitely one of the most influential songs ever. Another one bites the dust. And
I love
another
it.
one, another one bites the dust. I
Yes.
mean, classic song. So of course you guys should know they were influenced by the Chic song "Good Times." You know what I'm saying? Which had that classic bass line and the classic rhythm, which that song also influenced like Sugar Hill Gang's "Rapper's Delight" and everything like that too. You know what I'm saying? So still a very, very, very dope song. And pretty much when it comes to this song right here, this is a song that represents the sound that they were trying to do on jazz and stuff like that too, especially with that song "Fun It." You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, this was actually written by John Deacon, probably one of the best songs John Deacon has ever done in his career for Queen and everything like that too. And it's kind of crazy too because he said that in a 1980 interview that Roger Taylor, he didn't like the song's drum beat and everything like that too. You know what I'm saying? Which I felt like the drum beat was just right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. Very, very, very dope track. And You know, it's crazy. Two things. This was originally supposed to have been on Rocky 3,
Wow, really?
but they
Wow.
decided that they weren't going to use the song. You know, I like that song, but definitely this one would have definitely been more of a banger and shit. And this actually won Queen an American Music Award for favorite rock single,
Mhm.
and it's also gathered them a Grammy nomination for best rock performed by a duo or group or vocal. But they lost to Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band Against the Wind, which I felt like that was stupid. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But it is to each his own. Other nominees was Blondie's "Call Me," Pink Floyd "The Wall" album, and The Pretenders' "Brass in Pocket." So yeah, man, this one right here is definitely a classic song.
Yeah, classic. One of my favorites. You remember this movie? Excuse me. The song was also in Small Soldiers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
It was like a rendition. I think Wycliffe had did it over. Try to.
Yeah, that is right. That is right.
Yeah,
Because Wyclef also was. That's when he was trying to do every rock song cover and
yeah.
shit.
Come on, Clark. In your lanes.
Yeah, that was his downfall.
Yeah,
He thought he can do everything and shit.
yeah,
Another Puffy.
yeah.
Cause then he also do a song with The Rock and shit like that. He did a
Yeah, that's on
song.
the second album, Eclectic. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I never liked that single. The album is pretty good, but I never liked that single. I'm like, what are you doing?
We
What is
might
the
have
Rock
to. Yeah, we
doing?
might.
That's when I knew Rock was going to Hollywood. I'm like, he's doing shit with Wycliffe now.
We might have to talk about that Wyclef album one day.
Oh God, that's like. Well, I want to say it was okay. It's not great. He had some joints. I like the Preacher's Son album more though. I think that was really good.
That came out '03, right?
I think it was like '03. That it never got no promotion though.
That's the song. If I was president, I'd be elected on Friday.
Yeah,
Assassinate.
I think he was on that. I gotta check because I have it, but it's been a while since I played it.
Got you. I'm like, damn, that sounds funny. Low key. I'm like, what the fuck is this nigga doing?
Yeah, come on, man.
I remember he performed that shit on Chappelle's show.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh god.
yeah. He was picking the wrong singles from that
He
Eclectic
was.
album. You know.
They said two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah. Like, come on, B.
What? Anyway, next track, track number 4, Need Your Lovin' Tonight. This is a dope song. It's like a nice little 80s rocker and everything
Mhm.
like that too. You know, fast melody. John Deacon wrote this song too, so no surprise there. It's pretty much a song about someone who's upset about losing their lover and just giving false optimistics and everything like that too. You know what I'm saying? So this one was pretty decent. I like this one.
Yeah, this was good. It reminded me of like an '80s soundtrack. You know,
Right.
from one of those John Hughes comedies, and could have put it in there. But yeah, this was dope. I liked it.
Yeah, definitely a dope song. All right. Next song, Crazy Little Thing Called Love. Man, this is another one of their most iconic songs and everything like that. That was actually released as a single in '79. Um, it definitely has like a rockabilly, one of those other songs that has a rockabilly feel to it. You know what I'm saying? Like Elvis inspired and shit like that. Maybe Buddy Holly. Like, damn it. Yeah, something like that
Yeah.
deal and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this is
Mhm.
definitely a fire track.
Yeah, this was okay. I liked it. You know, it had like a six. It sounded like a '60s. Had like a '60s vibe to it. You know, nice beat and guitars on it.
Right. Yeah, it definitely has a '60s feel to it. Fucking love it. All right. Next track we got is called Rocket. This one right here was another pretty dope song that was written by Roger Taylor. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you know it's a hard rock song and shit like that too. So yeah, man, this one right. I think A couple of people used this as a sample. I think Kumo D sampled
Mhm.
this one because he had a song called Rocket on How You Like Me Now, the second album and shit like that too. So yeah, this one was pretty dope. Not only one of my favorites, but it was pretty nice, hard rocking song. I love it.
Yeah, this had like a punk rock sound to it.
Yeah,
You know, um, yeah, it was very punk rockish. Like the beat for it.
yeah, you're right. It definitely did have like a punk rock kind of feel to it. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
all right, next track we got is "Don't Try Suicide." My favorite song on the album, believe it or not. You know what I'm saying? Kind of a controversial song just based on the content, because if it was a song in today's climate, if it was a song about suicide, they would have tried to make it like more somber, more serious. But Queen had like a cynical take on the subject matter and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I love the funkiness of this song right here with the bass line and the groove to it and everything like that too. Hold on one second. I was trying to read my notes, but I closed my laptop. I find wants to fuck up. Jesus. Can you still hear me?
Hmm.
Okay, I'll just go on. Hold on. But yeah, this one right here is a very dope track. I love the way he was singing. He was singing this track. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't try suicide. Nobody gives a damn and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Again, it's more. So a lot of people kind of said that this one, they felt like they were trying to take serious suicide as a joke, but it's not like that. You know what I'm saying? They just didn't want to have like a typical suicide downer track and everything like that too. So this is definitely my favorite track on the album.
Sounds too preachy. Like they were preaching like about suicide and yeah, I think people that's going through stuff like that, they don't want to be preached to. You know, they want help, but they don't want to be talked. You know, like it's a church sermon and shit. So I just thought it was too preachy.
And yeah, it goes like that too. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And suicide is a very sensitive subject for a lot of people and whatnot
Right.
too. You know what I'm saying? So I've heard people say that some songs. I've even heard even a diehard Queen fan say that this song definitely helped them a lot when it came to like suicide and shit like that too. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I'm not gonna be mad if you say it sounds preachy. So yeah. All right. Next song, "Sail Away, Sweet Sister." So all my DOS Effects fans, y'all should know about this song. They sampled this for the Change song for the Generation Effects album, which I did not like
Don't
that
even
album,
remember
to be
that
real
album.
with you.
I don't even remember that album.
Y-
Trash.
Yeah, it's the last two DOS Effects albums are not really that good.
Mm-mm.
Generation Effects, the one from '03, I'm just like, oh my god. But back to this
Yeah.
song. This is definitely a vintage Queen song. Them going for that more operatic bag and everything like that too. Brian May wrote this song, and um, I think Freddie Mercury did the piano for this track too. It talks about like a young lady who's leaving the nest and coming to her own and shit like that too. So this is a cool song, and I like it.
Yeah, they had like the beat for the guitar plate. It was good.
Yeah, the guitar definitely stood out when it came to this song. Next song, song number 9, "Coming Soon." You know what I'm saying? This one was supposed to have been on the Jazz album. You know what I'm saying? But they put it here and everything like that too. You know what I'm saying? I guess they just felt like it fit here, or they felt like it didn't fit the Jazz album. But I wouldn't have minded if this one was on the Jazz album too, because again, they were trying to do a lot of that synth shit on that album, but their vision was not really propelled by it when it came to this one and stuff too. And it actually featured, excuse me, Freddie Mercury and Roger Taylor on lead vocals. This one was pretty decent, nice song.
I ain't like this one.
I feel
Nope.
you. Yeah, I definitely feel you on that. On some real shit. Why don't you like it?
I didn't like the beat or anything about it.
All right. And the last song is called Save Me. This was written by Brian May. Nice way to end off this album. It's actually like Brian May actually wrote this song about a friend whose marriage was about to end and everything like that too, you know what I'm saying? So definitely one of those relationship melancholy kind of songs. Do I like it as much as some of the previous songs? I wouldn't say so, but at the same time, the last couple songs definitely took that went to that more vintage Queen sound, so I can accept it for what it is.
Yeah, very melodic, nice beat, nice pianos on it. I like it.
Definitely. All right. One second. So overall, this album, The Game, is possibly among my favorite Queen albums that they've ever came out with, in my opinion. Very, very, very dope. I feel like with this album, they transition into the '80s very wonderfully and everything like that too. Because I definitely feel like when it comes to like a lot of groups that were popular in the '70s, when they try to get into the '80s and stuff like that, like transition into the '80s, a lot of them didn't really transition that well because let's just say that their last couple of years they were kind of in a disco train and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? And when the disco was over, people kind of left them in that disco train, so it took them years to really like reclaim their brilliance. You know, because once the disco shit happened, and that's when the MTV era happened. So then you have certain groups like Rolling Stones, Fleetwood Mac. You know, they kind of transitioned to the '80s pretty well. Heart, you know what I'm saying? They kind of went more for the more ballads. Chicago, they pretty much commercially they were doing good, but I feel like Queen, they definitely transitioned to the '80s well, and they understood that the synthesizer was going to be the driving force of music and whatnot too. Which again, we'll talk more about that when we talk about the Hot Space album next Sunday. Which, oh boy, I can't wait for that one. That's the one I can't wait for the most. And yeah, I definitely felt like Freddie Mercury's vocals was on point. John Deep doing most of the songwriting, definitely does thing on this one as well too. So this is definitely a 5 out of 5 rock masterpiece in my opinion.
I like some songs on here, Dragon Attack and Crazy Little Thing Called Love, Save Me. Of course, another one bites the dust. So I'm gonna give it 3 mics. They got some bangers on here.
Definitely. All right. So now we're gonna get into our part two of our top 100 rock albums. We're gonna do 75 to 51. I got my albums right here. Give me 1 second. Alrighty. So the first album that we're going to talk about tonight, my number 75. This is an album that I definitely feel like it's the group's best album. They kind of, you can tell they were very influenced by the Minneapolis sound, most particularly like Prince and the Revolution when it came
Yeah.
to this album. And
hmm
the singles don't sound like, the one thing I like about this album was the singles do not sound like the majority of the album. And I'm going to get to that reason why. And we got Talking Heads with Speaking in Tongues,
mm
1983.
Yes.
One of my favorites Talking Heads albums ever. And I know we did a review on this album because I know we're going to talk about Talking Heads very soon. I just cannot wait to talk about this album. I want to get your reaction to it. You know what I'm saying? But we all know the singles Burning Down the House and This Must Be the Place. Those sound like generic pop songs from the '80s and stuff like that, which I use generic in this case as good, but the rest of the album is probably
Just
Talking
now.
Heads at the most funkiest and brilliant. You saw what?
Now go ahead.
My fault. Like when I heard, like when I heard Making Flippy Floppy and shit like that. I was expecting Prince or Sheila E to come out. I was just like, I had a pause. I saw the album. I was like, this is Talking Heads, or am I listening to Prince? I had to listen to that shit and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? They also had Slippery People, which
Right.
I believe the Staple Singles cover that record, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, the Let's Do It Again Staple Singers. That them people, Moon Rocks and everything like that. I Get Wild. David Byrne was definitely on some shit with this one. This is actually, I'll say this one more time, my favorite Talking Heads album ever. And it's actually the best selling album, to be real with you, you know? So I got another Talking Heads album on this list, but I'm going to say my thoughts on that one.
All right, 75 for me. I mentioned this collaboration before. It's the Black Keys and Dame Dash, Black Rock in 2009, and you had
Cool.
it was a mesh of rock, blues rock, and hip hop. Many collaborations on this album: Q-Tip, ODB, Pharoah Monch, Billy Danzini from MOP, Nicole Ray, Most Def was on here, Raekwon was on here, RZA produced 2 tracks with the Black Keys. They produced the majority of the album. You had what was the single? The single was "Ain't Nothing Like You." That's the only single that was released from the album actually. But that was featuring Most Def and Jim Jones. They did a Black Rock too, but it got shelved. And the drummer of the Black Keys, he said that it's never coming out. So they did 8 songs for that for part 2, and it got shelved. And supposedly it's never coming out. There's a documentary for the album on Tubi where they showed them making recording the album in that summer. Was the summer of 2009, and it was great. We have great footage on there with Pharoah Monch with his blowout afro was in the studio. You had Most Def coming through. Jim Jones was already on his Bird Gang shit. So I don't know. It was a project that wasn't promoted. It just like I remember hearing about it online. They didn't promote the project fully. Dame Dash, I don't know what the hell Dame Dash was doing at that time, but it was this is his project, but he didn't really promote it the way it should have been promoted. This is like after the Rockefeller breakup, and
Right.
I don't know, but I like the project though, but it was never promoted the way that it should have been, and a lot of people slept on it. But I like it, so like I definitely had to mention it on this list.
See, now you mentioned that album a lot recently, so I might have to check it out, to be real
Yeah,
with you.
I think you would like it. I mean,
Um,
it was a slept on project because it was Dame Dash. Dame Dash, you know, funded the project, and it was all his idea. But I don't think people was ready to hear like the Black Keys with like Nicole Ray and Jim Jones. So it definitely went under the radar.
yeah, I don't blame you on that. And plus, with Dame Dash going through that whole Rockefeller breakup at that time too,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
another thing.
I think that's the main reason why Part 2 never came out because he ain't got the
Yeah.
funds to for the project.
Oh well. All right. Next album, number 74. I don't know if you were really familiar with this group,
Uh-huh.
and this is definitely one of the alternative rock groups that was definitely an influence for a lot of groups at this time. And it's Sonic Youth with Daydream Nation.
Oh yeah, I got Sonic Youth on my list.
Oh shit. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yo, this album is so fucking ill. One of the
Hmm.
best albums that alternative. Like '88 was such a great year when it comes to
Oh yeah.
rock music and stuff like that too. And this is definitely one of my top 5 from that year. This is actually their 5th studio album, and it's crazy.
Hmm.
They were very influenced by they worked with a producer named Nick Sansano, and
Hmm.
he was mostly known for working with like hip hop artists and shit like that. Because he worked with people like Rob Bass, Run
Right.
DMC, Public Enemy. So he, a lot of these cats, they weren't really familiar with like the hip hop. So
Mm,
he came and worked on the mix of this album, did some of the production, and it just definitely had a very post punk emo kind of feel to it and everything like that too. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
this is definitely an influence when it comes to like groups like Nirvana, um, Alice in Chains, and shit like that. Like I love songs like Eric's Trip, Hey Joni, Teenage Riot. I mean, this is really like one of the greatest rock albums of ever. I really wanted to put this album a bit higher, though. I'm not gonna hold you, but I kind of thought this album last minute, and I could not
Right.
really ignore it. So at least it's on this list.
All right. 74. This is an artist that I never listened to, and her first two albums it was rock, and then she went the pop route, and this is like her return to rock. Demi Lovato, holy fuck!
Oh
And I
wow.
really enjoyed this album. It was on Island Records from 2022, and she's talking about suicide and dealing with the media and fame and being in herself. And I really enjoyed this album. And you had the single "Skin of My Teeth" and "Substance 29" were also singles. And like I said, like her first two albums when she came out, she was doing like the pop punk hard rock thing, and then she went away from that and started doing the pop stuff, and then she returned to the hard. I think the pop punk suits her. It's more of her styles, more of her attitude, and I definitely enjoyed this album.
Wow, I never expected Demi Lovato to sneak up here.
Hey, I'm full of surprises.
All right, now this album is probably my next album where it's kind of a contender for my favorite album from this group. A lot of people kind of diss the previous album that they came out with, which I actually loved, but this one kind of run back to their roots.
Mm,
Is The Doors with Morrison Hotel. This
nice.
came out in 1970. Every time I hear Roadhouse Blues, man, that dun 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 dun. Every time I hear that, I'm always on the road on the highway. Roll down my
Mm,
windows, turn that shit all the way high up. God, I miss my car right now. Shit. Anyway, back to the subject. This album to me was, in my opinion, my favorite album they came out with personally.
right.
This came out when Jim Morrison, The Doors was kind of like blacklisted because Jim Morrison allegedly showed his dick while performing in Miami in '69. So a lot of the group was kind of like banned from performing in a lot of places and whatnot, but they still performed in certain places, like towards like the late '60s and early '70s, and then Jim Morrison kind of gained some weight, grew a beard and stuff like that too. I always say the previous album, The Soft Parade, was his album where he was very influenced by Frank Sinatra because vocally he sounded like Sinatra on his few tracks. Well, this one he kind of like he used some of that Sinatra styles, but he started like yelling again and doing his signature Jim Morrison sound. And I love songs like Roadhouse Blues, Waiting for the Sun, which of course that was supposed to have been on the previous album, the Waiting for the Sun album, but they didn't put that one there. Peace Frog and Blue Sunday alone is classic. The Spy, Queen of the Highway. Like the blues in this of this album was so fucking great and shit like that too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this might actually be my favorite album from them that they've ever came out with, and I definitely highly recommend this album. All the Doors album with Jim Morrison, I'm gonna be real with you. I recommend them to a T because I feel like there was something unique about each and every one of them.
Okay. I got 70. What we got? 73. I got the eighth album from Kiss. This is the album that we talked about, the Dynasty album on Casablanca Records.
Okay.
Seventh album, my bad, from Kiss. And one of my favorite Kiss songs, "I Was Made for Loving You." Love that joint, classic record. You got Sure
Mm,
Know Something. You got Charisma,
no.
Dirty Living. This to me was a good Kiss album. I don't care about how the diehard Kiss fans feel about it. I like it. That's why I made the list. And just a great album. And it came out a year after I was born. So definitely enjoyed this one. I like the album cover with all four faces on the album cover, and this was dope.
Respect. All right, my number 72. This is coming from a group that pretty much they released this album a year before the lead singer passed away. You know what I'm saying? Personally, this is actually my favorite album this came out with as a whole, and it's AC/DC with Highway to Hell. Let me pull up the album. Excuse me. Yeah, this is a fucking classic album from AC/DC. The last album with Bon Scott. I say this is the best album with Bon Scott, and I also say this is the best album from them. Period. Back in Black is actually my second favorite, but yeah, this one right here, they were definitely on some other shit. Like they had songs like Highway to Hell, Touch Too Much, If You Want Blood, You Got It, Nightcrawler. You know what I'm saying? Like Bon Scott has always been like to me the best front man for the group. Brian Johnson, don't get me, Brian Johnson was good too. I like him, but the Bon Scott era was just something special. So yeah.
That's your favorite ACDC album, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's my favorite because it's not that I don't like the Brian Johnson era. Don't get me wrong, because
Mhm.
I feel like the both eras are very similar. But Bon Scott was just something else, man.
Yeah. Where we at? 70, 71,
Mm-hmm.
70, 70.
No,
No, 72. 72
two.
for me is the Beatles, Sergeant Pepper. Definitely, we talked about this album. It's one of my favorite Beatles albums. Their eighth album seems to be a pattern going on. Is between the fifth and the eighth albums, I like from a lot of these groups. Um, with a little help from my friends, one of my favorites on this album, and when I'm 64, Paul McCartney did a great job with that. Fixing a hole, she's leaving home. Definitely a classic Beatles album.
Yeah, definitely a dope album. All right. My number 71 is the album that we just did a review on. And I'm not gonna spend too much time on this one. It's Queen with the Game. It's my number
Nice,
71. And yeah, we just did a review on this one and it's on my list. So that's all I'm gonna
nice.
say. Very dope album.
71 for me is
See how you do it?
Incubus, Morning View. Love this record. It's a classic Incubus album. Might be my favorite one. And they had the big hit single "Wish You Was Here." You had joints like Echo and Warning. Just the Phase, Circles. Another one of my favorites on here. And yeah, I love this Incubus album. I love old Incubus. I haven't heard from some new stuff from them in a while, but this is like one of their best albums. There's also a DVD for this album also.
Definitely. I gotta get into this stuff. Um
Yeah,
Next album is my number 70. This is another album that came out in 1970 or 1991. I feel like 1991 was really the breakout year for a lot of alternative rock.
yeah,
And I got YouTube's Autumn Baby. You know what I'm saying?
nice.
My favorite YouTube album, to be real with you. Well, it's one of my favorite YouTube albums because I kind of go back and forth with a few others. But this one was like the comeback album. This was known for songs like Mysterious Ways, One, Even Better Than the Real Thing. Because this album came out 3 years after Rattle and Hum, which a lot of fans did not really care for that album. And they were going through like a lot of band turmoil that they almost broke up, but then they wrote the song One, and they were working on this album. And they pretty much had like a new love in one another, trying to do musical ground. I feel like this album also was the gateway when they were starting to do the more experimental albums like Zooropa and Pop, which I feel like both albums kind of get a little shitted on, especially
Mhm.
Zooropa. That's
Yeah.
Zooropa is fire though. I hold you. But the
They
'90s
just
used to. I love.
one of the re-released one of the singles from the pop album.
I yo that Pop album
The,
again. That's a niggas hate on that
was it
album. I don't know why.
Disco West? I forgot the name of it.
Yeah, Disco S.
They
Yeah,
re-released it again recently. Yeah,
but that's supposed to be their quote unquote worst album. That's supposed to be their quote unquote worst
it's
album.
crazy.
I guess when that iTunes album came out, they was like, Pop ain't that bad though. 'Cause that Songs of Innocence when they dropped that
Right.
in everybody's iTunes and shit like that.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, but Autumn Baby is definitely a fire album. We have to talk about this album one day. So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. All right, 70 for me is the fifth album. Yeah, again, another fifth release from an artist. The fifth album from Billy Joel, The Stranger, classic Billy Joel album. It had the big hit, Just the Way You Are, one of my favorite Billy Joel songs all time. You had Moving Out, you had Vienna, Only the Good Die Young. Just a phenomenal album. Love early Billy Joel stuff. Young Billy Joel when he had like the afro going on, and this was great.
yeah, that's on my list too.
Yes.
All right, my number 69 is Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill.
Mm.
This is actually a third studio album. So it's the third. A lot of people think this is actually a first. It's not. This was known for singles like "You Ought to Know," "Hand in My Pocket," "Ironic." This album to me started a trend when a lot of these female rock acts were just coming out angry and bitter and didn't need no man. And I feel like Atlantis kind of started off that shit. You know what I'm saying? But the
Right.
production on this album is very good. I feel like Atlantis is a very dope singer and everything like that too. You know what I'm saying? So that's my number 69.
69 for me is No Doubt with their third studio album, Tragic Kingdom, a classic album. I want to say that's their breakthrough album. And you had joints like Spider Web and Just a Girl, Don't Speak, one of their biggest hits. And they were actually at Coachella last night. I was watching a set. Phenomenal. I think that's like the first time in like 10 years that they performed. And I've always been a No Doubt fan. Love Gwen Stefani, great leader for any rock band. And yeah, this was like my introduction to No Doubt with Tragic Kingdom.
Dope pick.
Yeah.
My number 68. Let me see where we at. 68. Yeah, 68. It's another album that came out in 1991. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood Sugar Sex Magic. This album came out September 24th, 1991. This came out the same day as Nirvana's Nevermind and Tribe Called Quest Low in Theory. Just let that sink there. Let that sink. Um, Very dope album. This was like a lot of people consider this their breakthrough album as well too. I kind of say it's more Mother's Milk if you want to be technical
Mhm.
and shit like that, but I don't mind people say that there's this one as well too. This is known for songs like "Give It Away," "Under the Bridge," "Breaking the Girl," "If You Have to Ask." Um, Very, very, very dope album and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? This was when they were really in their bag. John Frusciante, he actually left the group briefly after the release of this album because with them getting more popular and mainstream attention, he couldn't really handle the fame. Plus, he was going through drug addiction as well too. So, very, very, very dope album.
Oh yeah. All right. 68. I got Coldplay with Milo Xylo. I think I'm saying it right. Milo Xyloto. Against their fifth studio album. They had the big hit Paradise. It had Every Teardrop Is a Waterfall, Hurts Like Heaven. You know, you had Brian Eno doing a lot of the songwriting on this album. You know, you had they did a collab with Rihanna on Princess of China. Just a great album, man. And this was like one of my favorite Coldplay albums at this time. So
Sweet. All right, my number 67. We're gonna go back to Rage Against the Machine with their second studio album, Evil Empire. This came out in 1996. Very dope album. If you ask me, this was known for songs like Bulls on Parade, Tire Me, Revolver. You know what I'm saying? Just came out 4 years after the first album and everything like that too. Year of the Boomerang was pretty dope too. That was on the Higher Learning soundtrack and stuff like that too. So yeah, fire ass album, love it.
67 for me is Echo Smith with their first album, Talking Dreams. You know, this came out in 2013. Mike Elizondo was produced the album. You know, he's done stuff with Dr. Dre for Aftermath and all that, and he produced this album. And they had the big hit, you know, the Cool Kids. They had Bright, Less Love was singles, and definitely enjoyed this album from them. And I know they dropped some new music. I think it was last year. So they still doing their thing, you know, after 11 years in the game. You know, so yeah, this is Echo Smith.
Dope, dope. All right, my number 66 is Jane's Addiction with Nothing Shocking. I would share this album cover, but I feel like I'll get flagged if I share the album cover and stuff like that too, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so this album came out, very dope album. This is another album that came out in '88 that was a very influence when it comes to the whole alternative rock era and stuff like that. You know, this is known for songs like Jane Says, Mountain Song, Had a Dad, very dope, Up the Beach. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this is definitely a fire album.
All right. 66 for me is REM with Out of Time. His seventh album from '91. This was my introduction to REM. And they had the big hit, Losing My Religion, Shiny Happy People, Radio Song, Near Wild Heaven. Love this album. It's a classic. You know, I haven't listened to all of this stuff. I like this album and like the Monster album as well. You know, but this is definitely, to me, like their breakthrough. Well, I don't know. I don't want to say breakthrough, but like definitely their best album of the '90s. You know, this was everywhere. MTV was playing this all, especially "Losing My Religion." They played that video like 100 times a day in their rotation. Huh?
I hate that song.
They played it to death. Like I got tired of seeing that video after a while, but you know, the '90s rock era was a great time for a lot of bands, and definitely for REM, they definitely did their thing.
Yeah, I got you. I respect that. Respect. All right, moving on. Gonna go to number 65. I got U2 again. This is the 1984 album, The Unforgettable Fire. This album came out October 4th of '84. Love this fucking album, in my opinion. This one, you can pretty much say was kind of a Kickstarter for like the new era because, well, because you know the War album came out in '83. That was a more harder album. This one took like a more melodic, ambient kind of feel to this. Because you know Brian Eno, he does like a lot of the production on this album. This is known for songs like "Pride in the Name of Love," "Bad," Martin Luther King, Elvis Presley in America. Like this was like pretty much like their political album and shit like that. If that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? And this is definitely a fire ass album in my personal opinion. Yeah. I like this is definitely a top five when it comes to U2, the Unforgettable Fire.
Dope. All right, 65. I got Limp Biscuit, chocolate starfish, and a hot dog flavored water.
Oh Lord.
Great album from Limp Bizkit. It came out in 2000, their third album, and it had many hits on here. You had the joints "Take a Look Around." You had "My Generation," "Rollin'." They have a "Rollin'" remix, the Swiss Beats remix with Red and Method. Red and Method Man, DMX is on that. You had "My Way," "Boiler." They got into some trouble because they had a song called "Get Your Groove On," the original version where they sampled the Cirque du Soleil, like there was some music from that they sampled, and it got into a lawsuit. They had to remove the track, and later they did the remix with Exhibit, that DJ Premier did, and they put it on the remix album. Uh, uh, is it New Always or something? I got that album too, but they put the remix on the remix album. And My Way, they also have a primo remix from My Way that's on the remix album as well. You know, some of these songs were remixed and they were put on their remix album later on, except for the Swiss Beat remix for Rollin'. That was on the Fast and Furious soundtrack for part one. But this was a great album. Definitely enjoyed this one.
Definitely, definitely. Okay. You know, I never been a Limp Bizkit fan, but
Yeah.
I never
I
knew.
know.
I never knew they did a song with Exhibit, so that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. It's fire too. The Primo remix, that was dope.
Yeah, but he couldn't give Run Nubian a good beat though.
Well, I like Foundation. I thought Foundation was dope.
We'll talk about that. We'll
Yeah.
talk about it. Number 64. We got to talk about Talking Heads again. No pun intended. This is their 1980 album, Remain in Light. This is a classic album for my number 64. This is known for songs like Once in a Lifetime, um, Houses in Motion, you know what I'm saying? Cross Yid and Painless. You know what I'm saying? That's my fucking joint. That's love that record. Love that guitar riff that they did, man.
Dope.
This album was like really the beginning of them experimenting with more like funk, funk and world beat music and shit like that too. You know what I'm saying? I remember when I saw the video for Once in a Lifetime for the first time. That shit was crazy and stuff like that too. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I didn't even open this shit yet. There's no coffee yet, but still sealed up. So yeah, this is Talking Heads.
Nice. All right. 64. I got Papa Roach with the Love, Hate, and Tragedy album, the third release from 2002, and they had the hit single "She Loves Me Not" and time again, "Walking Through Barbed Wire." This is like my introduction to Papa Roach at that time, when the new metal took over, and definitely enjoyed this album.
Okay, dope. All right. Now I want to get into my British Invasion, number 63. I got the Rolling Stones with Aftermath. This album came out in 1966. One of my favorite album they ever came out with around that period and shit like that too. You know, this is when Brian Jones was really experimenting with like a lot of like foreign instruments and shit like that too, especially being influenced by like the Middle Eastern music. He has songs like Painted Black. You know what I'm saying? That was a very dope song. I love that record and shit like that too. They have I Am Waiting, Mother's Little Helper, Under My Thumb. This is the first album they've actually done where they wrote the whole album and stuff like that in 1966. So that's very interesting. And I actually got the US version of this album too. So yeah, this is the Aftermath.
All right. Number 63 is a duo that's they feuding right now. Hopefully they could get shit straight. It's NERD, Pharrell, Shad, and Shad with Flower Die, the second release from them. Flower Die, and this was a great album. It had a mix of rock and R&B and a little bit hip hop, a little bit funk. You had the big hit single "She Wants to Move." You had back breakout. That was like one of my favorite joints. You had jump with a good Charlotte. You had drill sergeant. You had Thrasher. Just a phenomenal NERD album.
Definitely. Number 62, we got my boy Elton John with Hunky Chateau. This album came out in 1972. Very dope album right here. You know, one of Elton John's best albums. This was known for songs like Rocket Man, Honky Cat, Mona Lisa's, and Mad Hatters, and shit like that too. You know what I'm saying? I actually like this a bit more than like the bridge. That what's the album? It's the album from 1973. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, which that was a good album, but I know a lot of fans say that's his best album, which I'm not mad about that. But this one was just pure Elton John to the fullest, and I love it.
All right, 63 for me is Van Halen, 1984, an album that we discussed on here, and 62, my bad, 62 for me is Van Halen 84, released in 84, and you had the big smash hit Jump and Panama, Hot for Teacher, I'll Wait, my favorite Van Halen album of any of their albums, and just a great rock album. I love the album cover with the kid with the wings, and just phenomenal rock album.
Very dope. All right. Number 61 is Billy Joel with The Stranger. We just talked about this one. Very dope album. My second favorite Billy Joel album and whatnot too. You know what I'm saying? This was known for songs such as The Stranger, She's Always a Woman, Moving Out, Vienna. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this is classic.
So 60, what we got? 61. 61 is Fleetwood Mac with the Rumors album. Love this album. My favorite joint on here is Dreams and I Don't Know. Go Your Own Way, another big smash hit from them. You know, Don't Stop, the Chain, classic Fleetwood Mac album right here.
Yeah, definitely a classic. All right. My number 60. You got 60 already. Perfect. I'm going to my grunge bag. Alice in Chains with the Dirt album. You know what I'm saying? Fucking fire album. This is the second studio album. My favorite album that they've ever came out with too, and their best selling album. You know what I'm saying? This is known for songs like Wood, Rooster, Down in the Hole, Junkhead, and shit like that too. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this is probably like the most darkest album they've ever came out with in the discography. You know what I'm saying? Dope ass album. I love Lane's vocals on this one and shit too. So yeah, this is a masterpiece.
Number 60 for me is Hole, Celebrity Skin. This is their third album, and you know, Courtney Love, legendary front woman for her band. You know, all female band. You had the joint Celebrity Skin. You had Malibu, Awful. Just a great mix of pop rock and grunge. Definitely got to hear more of this stuff.
Definitely. All right. Number 59, we got Radiohead with OK Computer. This came out in 1997. Very dope album. My favorite Radiohead album that they've ever come out with. You know what I'm saying? They were just definitely On their technology kind of shit with this one, more atmospheric. I love Sectarian Homesick Alien. That's my joint. Karma Police. You know what I'm saying? No Surprises. I love that song too. You know what I'm saying? It's just a very calm, chill album. Very dope.
59 for me is 21 Pilots with their album Trench. Definitely a great album, one of my favorites. And you had the singles Jumpsuit and Nico and the Niners. You had Chlorine, Levitate My Blood. Phenomenal album. I'm a huge 21 Pilots fan, and they're a mix of rap and alternative rock. And they got a new album dropping I think the new album is May or June coming out, and definitely one of my favorite bands right now.
Dope, dope. All right. Next song, next album, number 58. We got Rage Against the Machine with their first album, self-titled, 1992. Very dope album, very classic album, in my opinion, and shit like that too. You know what I'm saying? Nice use of the like rap metal, rap rock, whatever you want to call it. This was known for songs like "Bull in the Head," "Killing in the Name," "Wake Up," and shit like that too. So yeah, this is a fire ass album.
This next one for 58, they're not totally rock, they're more pop rock, but I used to love their albums until they totally switched up their sound. But I'm gonna go again. I'm going with the fifth studio album from another band, Maroon Five, with the Five album, and they had some big hits on here with Sugar and Matt, Animals. They did an Animals remix with J Cole, of all people, ironically. Um, it was definitely to me their last great album. This is a band that from their first album, you hear songs about Jane, or you hear Hands All Over Me. It's a very different band now compared to back then, and I started to see them gradually change with each album. Um, they're not making the same great music like they used to be. I think it's like now it's like when they put out something that's more trendy, and they look to collaborate with trendy artists like a SZA or Megan Thee Stallion.
Right.
But their music back in the early 2000s was much better.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think this was like their last great album. So
Yeah, I definitely agree with you about that. Next album, number 57. I got Def Leppard with Hysteria. Must have in your collection. This album came out in 1987. You know what I'm saying? Probably my favorite album from them, to be real with you. This one is definitely the perfect example of pop rock, glam metal, whatever you want to call it. This was known for songs like Pour Some Sugar on Me, Rocket, Animal, Don't Shoot Shotgun. Definitely gonna do a review on this album very soon.
all right, this number number 57 is Santana with Abraxas, the second album from Santana. We talked about this album. Great album. Love the artwork for it. Latin rock at its finest. You had Oye Como Va, big hit single, Black Magic Woman. Hope You're Feeling Better. Great album. One of the best Santana albums ever.
Very dope. And listen, my throat's dry. I'm gonna get some water right quick. Give me like 5 seconds. I was dehydrated for a minute. I was like, shit. Anyway, I think we had number 56.
Yeah.
So my number 56, I'm gonna go to my woman rock, female rock bag with this one. I got Heart with their first album, Dreamboat Annie. This album came out in 1975. Very dope album from them. This is known for songs like Crazy on You, Magic Man. This was before like they got more softer with the ballads. This is like when they were more on that hard rock kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this is a very great album. I love it.
And 56 for me, I got the woman rock band, the Go-Go's, with their first album, Beauty and the Beat. This was my introduction to the Go-Go's in '81, and they had the big hit song "We Got the Beat" and "Our Lips Are Sealed." How much more? Belinda Carlisle, great front woman for the Go-Go's, Hall of Famers, classic album.
Okay, I didn't know you fuck with the Go-Go's.
Oh yeah.
My next album, we got number 55. Is my boy Tom Rundgren, excuse me, on Something Anything. Very dope album. Came out in 1972. Very progressive rock, with a little bit of R&B to it. This was known for its classic song "Hello, It's Me." You know what I'm saying? I Saw the Light. Love that record. The Night the Carousel Burned Down. You know what I'm saying? Black Maria. Yeah, this one, the album is a very, very, very dope album. Nice little progressive rock, pop rock, whatever you want to call it.
It got number 55. This is an artist that went from hip hop to country blues rock. With his second solo album, Everlast from House of Pain, with Whitey Ford sings the blues. A great transition from hip hop to rock, and he had the big hit song "What It's Like." He had "Ends." That was just another single, and he still had a little hip hop on here. You had Sabata on here. You had "Casual" from Hyro on here. Definitely enjoyed this album, and I wasn't expecting this transition from Everlast to put down the microphone and pick up the guitar. But he did this thing on here. I believe he got nominated for a Grammy, or he won a Grammy for this album.
Yeah.
And this was great. This to me still is his best, solo album, without minus the House of Pain stuff. This is still his best solo album. So, you know what I'm saying? He went double platinum with it. It was number 9 on Billboard 200 album charts. Just a phenomenal album. He received a Grammy nomination for Best Male Rock Vocal Performance at the 42nd Grammy Awards.
Sick.
Yeah,
the album's very dope. I actually like the album too.
Definitely. They don't talk about this one. It's definitely a great album.
All right, next album, number 54, got the Beatles with the White Album.
It's
1968. This is a very interesting album from them. This is when they pretty much want to do like a longer album and everything like that too. You know what I'm saying? They were actually going through a lot of tension during the making of this album. I won't be real with you. There were certain songs I liked, but there were certain songs I did not like from this album because it was like a long ass album. Like, this album literally has about 32 songs and shit like that. And it's a double disc album. It's known for songs like Helter Skelter. This is where the original song Blackbird came from. The one that Beyonce covered when we talked about the Cowboy Carter album last night. Back in the USSR, Obladi Oblada, Do the Prudence. You know what I'm saying? So this one was pretty straight album. I like it. Took me a while to get used to.
Yeah. 54 for me, another rap artist that transitioned from hip hop to rock and had the whole rock community in the uproar. How could he do this? He's not a true rock artist. What is he thinking? And he proved all of them wrong. MGK with Tickets to My Downfall, released in 2020, a phenomenal pop punk album produced by Travis Barker from Blink 182. He had the joints Bloody Valentine and My Ex's Best Friend, Concert for Aliens, the deluxe edition. There was the deluxe edition has a song, one of my favorites, called Body Bag. And that song was also on the WWE 2K, I think it was 2022 or 2023. It was on the soundtrack for that game. And just a phenomenal album. I wasn't really an MGK fan except for the Lace Up mixtape that he released. That was dope. I didn't really hear his other stuff, but when he transitioned to rock, it was like I saw all these blogs talking about, rock and roll is dead because he's in it and he's winning Billboard awards for the album and everything. And I think he's better as a rock artist, to tell you the truth. I think he's better as that. He's still doing his rap thing. I know he released a new single a couple weeks ago, and he's rapping on it, so he's still doing his rap thing. But I think he's better suited for the pop punk genre. And he also released a movie for the album called Downfalls High. That was released in 2020, and it stars Sydney Sweeney, the actress. She was also in Euphoria on that HBO show, and she's starring in the film with him. And I think it's a phenomenal album, and the stuff he's done with Travis Barker has been great.
Okay. Dope pick. All right, my number 53 we got is Pink Floyd with The Wall, 1979. Very cool album. You know what I'm saying? And this was like another concept album from them and shit like that too. This was known for songs like Another One, Another Brick in the Wall, Part 1, 2, and 3, Mother, Young Lust. I love Comfortably Numb, Hey You. You know what I'm saying? This was, in my opinion, might be their last great album. Cause I felt like they were very hit or miss after the release of this album and shit like this too. And yeah, it says number 53.
All right. 53 for me is Genesis, Invisible Touch, the Phil Collins era from '86, their 13th studio album, and they had the big hit songs Tonight, Land of Confusion, Into Deep. The title track, just a great album, classic. This was my introduction to Genesis back in '86, and I still love it.
Okay. Number 52, I got David Bowie, Low. This album came out in 1977. This is the one that kickstarted this whole Berlin trilogy and stuff like that too, which I fucking love. Very dope song, very dope album. This album is known for songs like Breaking Glass, Be My Wife, Sound and Vision. But like the last 4 tracks are just like these chilled out instrumentals and stuff like that too, you know what I'm saying? Very ahead of its time too, you know what I'm saying? I feel like this album is definitely like predated a lot of shit. So David Bowie, Low.
It's nice. 52 for me is an album that you mentioned before from one of my favorite alternative rock bands, Rage Against the Machine, Evil Empire, Bulls on Parade, classic record, one of my favorites. You got Down Rodeo, People of the Sun, Vietnam, classic Rage Against the Machine. I love the album cover. And the Evil Empire, that name also, like, they used to call the Yankees the Evil Empire back in the 90s when, in the Joe Torre era, when they were winning like 5-6 championships with Derek Jeter and Bernie Williams. That was the name they gave the Yankees. It was the Evil Empire. You know what I'm saying? And the Yankees, always spent the most money on superstar players. Still doing it to this day, being in first place, and we are the evil empire, and they just know how to win. Just like Rage Against the Machine, Hall of Famers, classic alternative rock album.
Definitely. And my last pick for number 51, we got is Carole King with Tempestry. You know what I'm saying? Very dope album. For those who don't know, Carole King, she originally started off as a songwriter. She wrote one of her best known songs she wrote was Aretha Franklin's "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman." She wrote that for her. You know what I'm saying? So she dropped her first album called Rider in '70, but this was the album that really took her to another place. You know what I'm saying? This was known for songs like "So Far Away," "It's Too Late," "You've Got a Friend." Very dope track. "Will You Love Me Tomorrow?" And she even did her own version of "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman." So this is a very, very, very dope album.
Right? 51 for me is the debut album from Jimi Hendrix. Are You Experienced? Love it. Classic album that we talked about. We got the huge hit Foxy Lady. Manic Depression, Red House, I Don't Live Today. Love it, man. Just a great album. A great. Love the album cover, the yellow album cover. It's real psychedelic. A legend.
Yeah, that's dope, dope. All right, and we're going to end this off right here. So this is a dope list right here we did. I think I'm gonna do the next part next week. So yeah, man, a lot of dope rock albums that you picked and shit, a lot of dope ones. So yeah, and I got some rest for work tomorrow or tonight too. So tomorrow at 5 p.m. we're gonna do TLC with a 3D album. A long awaited review. We're gonna do that one and shit, which that's
Long
gonna be
awaited, is it? Scratch review. Remember to put that.
I am. I am.
There's only like two songs that I like from that album. So
I didn't care for that album either. I mean,
yeah.
but yeah. So Ashley's gonna join us for that one. Yeah, yeah. We got some interesting shit we're gonna do this week.
Epic track. This might be better than the Black review that we done, and that was like
Oh,
all
Lord.
time high, all time trash review that of my favorite. But this might top that one because that's how
Oh.
bad it's gonna be.
Oh Lord. Anything else you have to say before you head out?
I might do a live stream later on IG. With the homie Harrison comics. We might be talking like some comic book talk. Some new pickups I picked up last week. So I might do that today. If not, that'll be like next week sometime. But stay tuned. I might upload that to my channel. So we'll see.
Okay, that'll be dope. That'll be
Yeah.
dope. Other than that, boy, this has been fun as hell and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get some rest for work. I'll
Right.
talk to you later. Peace.
Peace.
I'll make sure y'all subscribe and like this video and everything.